Good morning, good morning, good morning. That's right, good morning. You guys are joining me for my morning smoke. What makes a good morning smoke, you'll say? Well, whatever you're in the mood for and however much time you have. Today, we're smoking The Bewitched by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Mr. Steve Sanka. And it has a little bit of pedigree or story. It was an Owl Shop specific release, but as the story goes, it's just too good not to release to the broader audience. He got permission from that retailer, and so now here we are. It is a broader release, but they hold on to the little owl motif or logo, just a nod to that Genesis story. And we know that the owl has a lot of occult meanings in different cultures. Specifically in Nicaragua, it's associated with witches or witches. And as the story goes, Mr. Saka was enthralled by it, bewitched if you will, and so that is where we get our namesake. He must have also been pretty captivated by a Naka tamale along the way one day, because that also lands in the Muestra de Saka lineup as well. So, jumping right on into it, let's unbox this guy. Let's remove it from the coffin, if you will. Just a moment here while we pop it out of the box. Alright, it is thicker than most of the Muestra de Saka Vitolas. Maybe excluding the unicorn, as I have not had one of those yet. By way of initial impressions, it is box pressed. The wrapper is almost toothless, as it has tight seams, minimal veins, and it has a subtle pigtail cap. So, I'm super excited. We're going to remove the little footband, and we can talk a little bit about that. It's a high contrasting color palette. It has obviously yellow in terms of its coloration, and then it has black as well as red. So as we remove that there, we're just going to slide this off the tip. Alright. Pre-light aroma? It's subtle. There's a cedar note, of course. What I will say is that the wrapper just has a rich, almost oily sheen to it. So, just don't want to exclude that out of my observations. Alright, we're going to cut and light. Alright, everybody. Initial notes. It's soft. It's creamy. There's some vegetal qualities there. Wood. Subtle earth. Retrohale. It's smooth. There's almost a pork quality to it. Maybe it's a little bit of saltiness. Honestly, it's not because it's in the morning, haven't eaten anything, but my mind goes to bacon. So we're just going to hold that out there. We're going to throw that out there. We're going to come back and see if it maintains or if it's just maybe me getting a little hungry early in the morning. What I will say is I didn't cut it. I just removed the little spiral colita, if we want to use our proper terminology here. So in terms of smoke or draw, water through a straw, oily on the palate, slight tooth to it so far. We'll see how it develops. Very enthralled. Very enthralled. Alright, everybody. We're about an inch and a half in. And when we left off, I was wrestling, figuratively, metaphorically, with this pork note, the stream of consciousness thought process as we were at initial light, and it very much was there. And I've had that note previously in the Pledge prequel. So it's not a bacon. Think like pork roast in a crock pot. Maybe not the most tasty thing, but that taste that you have in your mouth after you swallow that pork meaty taste. So it very much was there. It was at initial light. I'm super excited, very stoked for it. There was a little bit of saltiness on the lips, and there still is here at times. Tasting notes that we're getting so far, I will say the cigar is very dynamic. For me, it's probably the best in the Muestra de Saka lineup. But the notes that we've had so far, we've had cream. There's a toast note. There's earth. There's wood. That vegetal note is starting to transition more towards a tea at times. There's a light or slight back of throat scratch and heat. More so now fading away, but it was much more prevalent earlier on. So, very thrilled with the cigar so far. I understand why they wanted to take this to a broader audience, and I'm excited that I get the opportunity and I'm not missing out. More to come. Alright, everybody. We're about an hour in right now, just a little bit past halfway, and the cigar is noticeably much more rich than it was when we first began, and the notes are starting to move a little bit more to the savory side, and they have a little bit more of an earth forward or wood forward component to them. And so the notes that we're getting so far, it's just that. There's an earth, there's a wood. We're also getting baking spice, which touches more on nutmeg and at times anise to me. We've also have elements of cream, black pepper, and there's a little bit of back of throat that builds and wanes, kind of waxes and wanes, I guess, if we're going to borrow a little bit of terminology from moon cycles. We can talk about the blend a little bit. It uses an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, and then it uses a Tanto San Andreas binder, and then the fillers are Nicaraguan as well as from the US of A. So there we go. I'll be back. We'll do the cigar wrap-up and some tasting notes for you folks. All right, everybody. We're getting to that point here where we're coming to the end, coming to the close on this cigar, and it was quite an experience. It really was a journey. It started off lighter, and it kept building in terms of richness, and certainly in body. Strength, of course. Notice that we're getting right now. There's an earth to a dark earth. There's wood. There's a coffee bean component. There's a little bit of red pepper chili flake. There's still some cream. There's some black pepper. It's a fantastic cigar. Jumping on into the cigar wrap-up. Construction, fantastic. Ash held on for greater than 1 inch increments. Burn, didn't need to be touched up. Draw, it was like water through the straw. In terms of mouthfeel, it coated the palate. It was fantastic. Oily cream, almost like if you have a little bit of butter, kind of that sensation, or a glass of milk, if you will, probably a better analogy. Outside of that, savory or sweet, it varies. It's a little bit more sweeter at the beginning. It's a little bit more savory towards the end. My name is Brother T, Freemason cigar enthusiast with VCR, and today we smoked the Bewitched in the Muestra de Saka lineup by Steve Saka, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. And as always, smoke 'em if you got 'em.